Birmingham city centre, on lockdown following government-imposed restrictions to limit the coronavirus outbreak. With the sun shining at peak time, what would usually be bustling streets filled with shoppers, city workers and tourists is practically a ghost town. It's certainly much quieter than usual, and eerily so, but it's far from the post-apocalyptic vision of an abandoned city, as some on social media would have you believe. With thousands of residents living in the city centre, it's currently impossible for Birmingham's main retail quarter to be completely deserted. During a walkabout, we saw around 100 people within a 2-hour period, and between an area stretching from the Bullring shopping centre to Broad Street. While this may sound like a lot, it's actually a tiny fraction compared to the tens of thousands of people who would usually go about their business here. Those who are out and about are, for the most part, attempting to adhere to social distancing measures introduced by the government a week ago. Members of the public may still leave their homes, but only for one of 4 reasons: shopping for basic necessities, for example food and medicine, which must be as infrequent as possible; one form of exercise a day, for example a run, walk or cycle, alone or with members of their household; any medical need, or to provide care or to help a vulnerable person; travelling to and from work, but only where this absolutely cannot be done from home. During our wander around city streets, we found most people were respecting the restrictive measures, either walking in pairs or on their own, with many people wearing face masks. Some were out for walks, while others were getting in their daily exercise by way of running, cycling, or walking their pets. Most stores in this concentrated retail sector were closed, displaying notices citing health and hygiene reasons. The Bullring, one of Europe's busiest shopping centres, would normally be hosting a rush of pre-Easter shoppers around this period. Instead, its doors are closed to customers and its lights turned off, as a solitary bronze bull guards the premises. Hordes of sun-seekers would be occupying this space around St. Martin's Square and Selfridges on a day like this. But today, only a few friends relax here, keeping a distance from each other. Although it may seem like rough sleepers have the street somewhat to themselves, outreach workers continue to pressure the government to house them during the pandemic. On New Street, shops are closed. Clothing, footwear, sports, recreational and hobby shops are shut, as are cinemas, bars, cafes and takeaways. As essential services, some banks, pharmacies and key food outlets are still open for very limited periods. Nearby, at a local supermarket, local residents queue for intermittent access to the store, remaining at least 2 meters from the person in front of them and the person behind them, a precaution now widely accepted to protect against the spread of the virus. A security guard waves them in, ensuring there isn't an influx of people within the store at the same time, and allowing the shoppers to purchase what they need without added worry. Not far from here, construction sites are inactive, and pedestrian hotspots including Victoria Square, Cathedral Square and Centenary Square have become meditative spaces for the occasional passerby or people watcher. Of course, not everyone outside is following official restrictions. During our walkabout, we were approached by a man trying to sell us weed, another man aggressively demanding loose change, and a group of teenagers huddling through side streets laughing and joking, none of whom were observing social distancing. And despite police officers making sure they are visible on the streets during the somewhat flexible lockdown, they've made it clear their primary aim is to work with the public towards self-regulation rather than heavy enforcement.
I want to be clear, the vast majority of the public at Westminster Police are taking these directions very seriously. Let's be clear, the public are the people who will enforce this by regulating their own behaviour and making clear that breaching these rules is something to be disapproved of.
This approach, by and large, appears to be working. Aside from the odd bit of fresh graffiti or the occasional defiant civilian, the vast majority of the people are and have been able to successfully manage and monitor their own social distancing routine. The self-isolation measures may seem extreme to some, and tougher measures may be yet to come, but in a region where over 100 people have already died from coronavirus, these temporary behavioral changes may be the difference between life and death for the most vulnerable. Rangzeb Hussain for I Am Birmingham in the West Midlands.